Hey guys, it's Chris from the Silver Symbol channel, and last month I shared my gate build video with you all and showed you the wiring and all the different components that went into it, but one question I got quite often was, how was I doing the welding down at this gate where I'm about 1,000 feet away from my shop? Initially I did bring down an EcoFlow along with a portable welder, but that did kind of get tiring real quick. I also deal with a lot of repairs and junk equipment around my property, so welding is something I do quite often. And up at my shop I use this Miller 220, and this thing is a really fantastic welder, but it's got one big downside, and of course that is the physical size. It's heavy, you've got all these cables, and of course it's not self-powered. You've got to bring a generator if you want to have 240. All that stuff just doubles or even triples the size and weight of this thing. And that was an incredibly long way of saying that I wanted to get a truly portable welder, one that didn't require external electricity. Big companies like Miller and ESAB offer them, but they're huge money, and those things are only stick welders. They can't even do MIG. And if you're somebody that's really an amateur like me, MIG is pretty much where it's at. It's just easy to do, and it's even good for a beginner. And all that brings us to this box. This thing is called a Badger welder, and inside this is a complete welding system. Now this isn't a gimmick. This is a self-powered MIG welding system, all within inside this one kind of pelican looking case. Now those bigger systems you can get from places like Miller and ESAB cost 2 to 3 times the amount of this thing, and again they're only stick welders. Inside this case you've got powder coated steel, and everything's quite heavy duty, including an automatic wire feeding system, just like you'd have in a normal portable welder. What's even nuttier is inside this tiny box you can even use gas and connect an additional battery if you want. Now right out of the gate, this thing can be powered and run for about 20 minutes of welding, which works out to about 5 to 6 feet of actually welding bead. Now that may not seem like enough, and you're not going to build a bridge with this thing, but you could certainly tack on parts or make repairs as needed with this thing easily. This thing is super well made, and it isn't inexpensive, so you should expect a lot, but I think once you open the case, you are going to be pleasantly surprised at how well put together this is. Now I've got this thing set up for flex cord wire, but this particular model can also use gas, so you can use standard welding wire and connect a gas bottle to this thing if you're in a situation where you don't want to use flex cord. This machine can output about 150 amps of welding power, and that puts it in a pretty good category for doing thicker metals. Here I'm running some beads on this thick steel, and I'm certainly not going to win any awards with my work, but these repairs I do work, and in fact one of the most popular uses for these portable welders are off-roading, 4x4 stuff where you might break something when you're on a trail and you need to weld it back on. Having all the power and everything just contained inside this welder can really be a lifesaver. What I personally like about it is the batteries inside are two 12-volt AGM batteries. Now they're pretty much a standard battery, and that's good news because if you're buying this thing, especially for the price, you want it to last. And batteries of course are going to wear out, and if these were any type of a fancier battery, it could cost you big money to change them. But because they are just regular AGM stuff, they're going to work in ultra low temperatures, and additionally replacing the batteries you can do yourself, and it's only about $100, and you'll probably replace them every 3 to 4 years. A lot of guys are going to show you welding on something like a space shuttle, but this is kind of real life for me. In one of the videos I showed you guys how I was pulling some cables in this elbow, but as you can see here, this sort of pulling guide that has rollers which prevent the wire from kind of kinking up is really just designed for a normal double gang box. But when you can weld, you really open up a lot of possibilities for yourself. Now normally this plate wouldn't be any good, but now I can weld 2 pieces of metal together. So I'm going to grab a little scrap and add it to the bottom of this guide, and I'm going to build my own custom guide, so now I can use it on this pulling elbow. But the best part is I can do all of this right where I'm working. I don't have to go back to the shop. I can make my measurements and then simply just grab that Badger welder, and in just a couple of seconds I can tack these 2 pieces of metal together, and now I've got my custom roller plate. This is certainly not going to win any beauty contest, but it's going to do exactly what I wanted. It took me a minute. And if you haven't already watched my gate building video, I'd encourage you to do so because I show you the different types of cable that I was able to pull through this guide. If I didn't have this thing, it would have made that job a lot more difficult because again, I was pulling things like fiber optic cable, and this guide really prevented a lot of damage. The other cool thing about this Badger welder is it is super easy to use. Now, I'm not saying that a beginner should go and spend this much money, but if you do want to get into welding, you don't have a lot of space, the other bonus here is everything is inside this case. Now when I was doing the gate builder course, I welded one of these camera brackets on site, and it really was a game changer for me. In just a couple of seconds, I could go down there in the ATV, get the welding done, and I didn't really have to lug anything around. Now this is the most commonly used welder that I now own. In fact, I'm only using the Miller for larger projects when I'm back up at the workshop. Now one thing that could be a negative is once you've got a portable welder like this, everybody kind of asks you to do repairs to them, but I actually love welding, and when I get a chance to do it, as long as the person is willing to accept my work, and it's not always going to be the best job around, but hopefully it will hold, I'm more than willing to do so. And this unit really was critical for the gate build. There were some other components that I welded on, and this thing just makes it so easy. It's kind of like hot gluing metal, but this little badger is by far my favorite. I love how portable it is, and I think if you spend the money on one of these, you can easily make your money back if you're doing repairs for your job, or if you're just doing repairs around your house or farm. Having this portability is really unmatched. So that is kind of a long answer to the question, but I didn't want to just show you the tool without sharing some of the uses and some of the things that I'm going to use this thing for in the future. So while this welder certainly isn't the cheapest, I can definitely say it is useful, and it really is the best portable welder that I have ever tried. And I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the silver symbol in the workshop channel for more videos coming up.